My experience as a third-generation Japanese American, or Sansei, is typical of many Japanese Americans of my time. My family immigration histories are also pretty typical of the Japanese Americans who came to America around the turn of the century. The Witsugi name, which is my family name on my father's side, means above the cedar trees. And the kanji words up there on the top, the first kanji is above, and the second is sugi, which is a cedar tree. And the picture on the left is a typical Japanese cedar, actually on my grandfather's property of the time. And the house that you see on the right is where he was born. But of course, that house was replaced by this beautiful structure now. My grandfather's families were rice farmers in Wakayama, and he grew up in a family of 8 children. Lured by tales of gold-paved streets and good salaries, thousands of immigrants came from my grandfather's district in Wakayama. 3,750 Wakayama men emigrated. In 1899, at the age of 19, Grandpa Wasugi followed his brother to America. He entered through British Columbia, working in the salmon fisheries. Later, he worked on the railroads and the lumber mills. This picture shows my grandfather, and actually you'll see it in the back room over there, because my grandfather, when he came to America, worked for 12 years, saved his money, and returned to his hometown to have an arranged marriage to Chio Hata, who was 17 years younger than he was. He returned to the lumber mill in Westport, Oregon to begin his family, and he saved his money to buy a farm. But unfortunately, he ended up with asthma and had to move to Portland and started with a hotel there, and eventually ended up having 5 hotels in Portland. This is a family of my grandfather, Sasaki, and I'm equally Sasaki as much as I am Wasugi. This picture was taken in 1905 when he was 31 years of age. The Sasakis were musically inclined and wanted to pursue musical interests and careers in the United States. They had been lured by Christian missionaries with the promise of a new life and a different freedom. My grandfather Sasaki was destined to be a Buddhist priest in the local Nagoya temple. He rebelled and left the family profession to follow his musical interests. My grandmother Sasaki came independently at the age of 17 to study music. They arrived in 1905 and 1907 respectively, and they met at the Methodist Church in Seattle, where they were involved with a choir. Grandpa directed the choir and sang with a beautiful bass baritone voice, and my grandmother accompanied them on the piano. This is a picture of the family with my mom sitting in my grandmother's lap. And again, the kanji that you see says Sasaki, and the key part of that kanji means tree. So I have trees on both sides in my name. This is the store that my grandfather worked in, Frederick and Nelson. And by the way, our Frango mints came from Frederick and Nelson, and it's called Frango because it's Frederick and Nelson Company, but it sounded too much like Franco, the dictator, so they changed it to Frango, and that's what we got. This is the Sasaki family in 1935, and my mom is there in the middle, just behind my grandma. Each of my grandparents built a life rooted in American ideals, which nourished their children. This is the Westport Lumber Company, where my dad was born in 1917, and he spent his childhood with many cousins, running around the forest and along the river. And when the family moved to Portland, he was very studious, shy, and introverted, reading many books every week. He needed glasses early, and helped in the family hotel business and grocery store, graduated Lincoln High School in Portland at the young age of 16. And feeling the need to mature, he did hard labor like his father did in the Alaskan cannon fisheries, and then the Oregon trunk line, and finally at the Westport Lumber Company where he was born. He saved enough money to go to North Pacific College of Optometry, got his degree, opened a private practice in Portland, and his practice bordered the white business area and Japantown. My mom grew up in Seattle and was named after the patron saint of music, Saint Cecilia. She was a young and a vicarious and a very fashionable young girl, always seeking to break away from the family's watchful eye. After graduating from Seattle's Lincoln High School, she worked in a glove manufacturing factory, a skill which she listed on a letter to help get her out of the incarceration camp.